Cool. Well, welcome to our very first virtual squad event. We are so excited to be able to have the opportunity to connect with you all. And we have such an amazing lineup of speakers and giveaways and just so much fun today. So hope you have your glass of wine ready. I also have my bottle ready next to me too. And we're gonna go ahead and get started. So before we get started with introductions, here's a little agenda of what we're going to chat about today. The ultimate goal is to just leave inspired, connected, empowered, and just ready to continue conquering your goals despite everything going on in the world. So we hope that that is what you get from this today. We will be having several giveaways throughout today's meeting, but in order to win, you do need to go follow all 4 of those accounts that you see there on the screen. So go ahead and go follow The She Factor and our sponsors, Skylar, Mavely App, and Velvet Caviar. And that little box that you see in the slide here is exactly what you're going to be winning. It's awesome. And we will be announcing all winners at the end after the final Q&A, and we'll also reach out to you if you win, if you have to hop off early, but super exciting there. So I know that there's a lot of familiar faces on here because I saw you all register, but we want to meet all of you and give you guys the opportunity to meet each other because that's what this is all about. So go ahead and drop into the chat and tell us your name, your IG handle, where you're from. I can see it right in front of me. I've got my double screens. And we have a couple people on Team She that are managing that too. But I'll go ahead for those of you who don't know me and introduce myself. So my name is Tori Ganal. You can follow me at Tori Ganal on Instagram. But I am the VP of brand for She Factor and also the host of the She Factor podcast. I grew up in Colorado, but after I graduated from University of Oregon, I stayed right here and now I'm in Portland, Oregon. We'll get into my full story here in a second, but before we do, I just wanted to introduce you all to the amazing team of ladies who made all of this today possible and just made it so perfect and all catered to you and what you guys wanted. So I'm gonna go ahead and give access to our Team She. Give me 1 second while I make that possible. Here we go. I think we're having them come through. And I'm going to keep our speakers hidden while we just introduce Team She. Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Hi.
And I am already messing this up. Hold on. We're going to get... okay, can everyone see our full panel of... Okay, stop share. That will do the trick. Now can everyone see all of our wonderful members of Team She?
Yeah.
Hey everyone. So up there on top, we have Miss Heidi Ganal. She is not only my mother, but she is also the founder of The She Factor here. Sorry, wow, all my screens are just popping up right now. So you might know her as founder of Camp Bow Wow, the country's largest pet care franchise, or regent at University of Colorado. She's here today in Colorado. And she's going to talk to you all in a minute as well, just about her and her story. We also have a very small but very mighty team made up of 3 incredible ladies. So we have Daisha, our VP of Operations, also in Colorado. Daisha, if you want to say a little hello and a wave here.
Hi, everybody. Thanks so much for coming. I'm so excited for tonight.
Awesome. We also have Kenzie, who is our head of design and creative, which is, fun fact, also my cousin. So it's a little family business over here.
Hey, everyone.
Do you have Randy in the screen at all?
I don't, but I can grab him in a second.
No, that's okay. She just got a puppy and he's so cute. And then we also have Natalie, who is our social media guru. She's usually in Denver, but now she's home in Bend, Oregon. I forgot to mention Kenzie's in Alexandria, Virginia too. So we're all over the place. And then Holly and Shaughnessy, I don't know if they're on right now, but they're our team members who are leading our efforts for our squads in Chicago and Springfield, Illinois. So I just wanted to introduce you guys to everyone so you knew that we are literally countrywide. We're here to support you wherever you are and looking to continue to grow our community to where you guys want us to be. So all you have to do is say the word and we'll be there. Awesome. Thanks, ladies. I'm going to jump back to our other screen if I can. All right. Can everyone see my screen now? I think we have some of the panelists still on. Let's see. Give me 1 second, guys. This is like a lot of tech stuff. Okay, there we go. Stop video. Perfect. Oh, Mom, I think you are still on. I'll just keep you on there since you're going to talk here soon, but I'm going to mute you. Okay, cool. So for those of you who are new here, welcome. We are so happy to have you all here. I'll tell you a little bit about She Factor and what we're doing, and then we'll dive into a little bit more of our specific topics that we're going to touch on today. So for those of you who don't know what She Factor is, hopefully you do, but if you don't, it's an on and offline platform for women in their 20s who are craving community, growth, and purpose. So my mom and I started She Factor because we really realized that there was a gap for women after they graduated college and entered what we call the real world. When I graduated in 2017, I immediately entered a job I wasn't passionate about because I really didn't have a sense of what I wanted to do after school. So, oh, there we go. Sorry, I can still hear my mom typing away over there. So I immediately entered this job that I wasn't passionate about, and I had spent all of college double majoring, taking every leadership position I could, taking literally every opportunity to ready myself for what would come after. And then when it came, I quickly realized that I was not prepared whatsoever. So a year into this job I took, I could really sense pretty much my whole life falling apart. I was partying a lot. I was unhealthy. I was unhealthy mentally, physically, emotionally. I had lost touch with a lot of my friends and family, and I was just struggling to make friends and find community in a brand new city. I really had no sense of direction where I wanted to see my life go in a year or 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, any of it. So as I looked around and started to express how I was feeling to my coworkers and my girlfriends, I quickly realized that everyone was literally feeling the same way too. So as any 20-year-old girl hopefully would do, I went to my mom, and because I have an incredible entrepreneur for a mother, she decided to make a business plan, and She Factor was born, and I was the guinea pig. So we wanted to create a method for women to follow to help them create a life they love. That's the core of everything we do at She Factor, is all about creating a life that you love, but in all areas of their life. So there's tons of groups out there for women, like women in tech or women in business, but there's nothing for women to just come together and talk about life in general and be able to just connect with each other. So Shaughnessy, who is actually, like I said, on one of our, on Team she actually says it perfectly. When you're a girl, there's Girl Scouts. And then in college, you can join a sorority. But after that, there's really nothing to keep you grounded or help you grow. So that's what we wanted to create, was to fill that empty space. And what we found was that women were really trying to either do it all or just focus on one area. So for example, I was really focused on that one area in my job, but a lot of people I knew were focused on perfecting all those areas. And when you do one or the other, things kind of start to crumble. So we broke it down into 9 different verticals, or what we call spheres. And each month we like to focus on a different sphere. So really helping you explore what that sphere means to you and identify where in your life you need to give your energy in order to create a truly holistic balance and life of joy and purpose. But let's circle back to today and why are we all here? There's lots of different tools and resources that we offer. There's a book and an app and a podcast and a daily newsletter. We want to give you the opportunity to connect what best works for you. But today, this is all about community, and that is truly the core of everything that we do here at She Factor. This is all about community, a place where you can engage and meet like-minded, growth-oriented women all around the world today, which is so exciting. This is your time, your network, your online community. You can make it whatever you want it to be. And we really thought that focusing on future would be the perfect way to help you stay on track with your goals and your journey, as well as just stay positive and connected during these crazy, crazy times. So we're going to talk a little bit about that and what that means. So future is the most daunting, but also the most exciting sphere. Oops, I realized I stopped my video, so now you all can see me again. So future is the most daunting, but like I said, the most exciting sphere of all 9 of them. It's about those big goals, big aspirations, dreams, and making all of them a reality. So your 20s is really the decade of your life that shapes and molds the rest. It's, yes, daunting, but also really exciting, in a good way and a bad way. So sometimes we go all in and then we realize we completely went the wrong direction, and the choices you make now or early on in your life, even if you don't feel like you've started your career yet, have an exponential impact on your path and in your life. But you can't always control the consequences that may affect this. So it's more about an accumulation of all of those things to make this full life that you're building. It's about allowing yourself to dream those big, crazy dreams, then letting life take you to places you could have never imagined. And also just coming back to who you are, the compass of who you are and what you want out of your life, out of your future, and making it as bright and bold and amazing, just like you. And that's exactly what we're going to be talking about today, just how to keep coming back to that compass. And we have amazing speakers who are going to talk more about that. But before I do that, I obviously want to give Heidi the floor to talk a little bit more about She Factor and just why we're here.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me okay, Tor? Okay, good. I am so excited to be here. This is a dream come true for me. When Tori started talking about what she wanted to do with her life and how she was struggling when she was a senior in college, it occurred to me that so many young people around me were dealing with the same thing. And I've been so blessed to live the American dream and do what I wanted to do and find my passion and live in my sweet spot. I wanted to teach all of you how to do that and hopefully keep you from making a lot of the same mistakes that I did. It's been a rough journey, my life over the many years, but it's one that I found true joy and authenticity. And I want to teach you some of those lessons. And that was my gift through writing She Factor, the book, and then bringing in Tori and Daisha and Kenzie and Natalie and so many amazing women to help teach you the lessons that we all learned so early on. So hopefully you can find a place of authenticity and joy and calm much earlier on than I did at age 40 something, now 50 something. So I'm super excited to have you all here. I'm gonna let my daughter take the reins and lead this conversation, but know that we are all here to create community, joy, passion, and inspiration, and bring some happiness to this really rough time right now, whether it's virtually or live. Eventually we'll be live again, but right now we've got to do it virtually. So I'm gonna toast all of you right now. I have a glass of wine, hopefully you do too. So cheers to our futures, to finding joy and community and fun and passion in our lives. So Tori, I'll hand it back to you with that. Oops, I have to drink.
Hey,
that helps.
Hope
Cheers,
you all
everyone.
do the same. Cool. Well, let's pull this presentation back up. Let's do this. Perfect. Cool. Well, thanks, Mom. That was awesome. And I'm really excited for us to get started today. So we're going to just dive right into our speakers. Our first speaker is so amazing, you guys. She's just incredible. She starts every morning helping people start their day as a television talk show host in Washington, D.C., which is actually how we met her back in October. We were on her show and she was just a pleasure to work with. We knew we had to get her looped into She Factor. She's the author of an incredible book, A Work in Progress, and a motivational speaker, encouraging women to lean into a never-ending growing life process, pursuing their passions, and reminding you that this is all just a crazy journey. So if you guys have questions for Ellen throughout, go ahead and enter them into the Q&A, and we'll have a couple minutes for her to answer them when she's done. And I'm going to pull Ellen up here. Guys, this is crazy, this technology thing. I have too many screens open right now. Okay. Ellen, the floor is yours.
So I say start, all right? You see me, right?
Hi, Ellen.
Hi, everyone. I'm glad to see you struggling, Tori, because this is exactly what we're doing right now with the news business. We are all moving to our houses to broadcast. So this is kind of our setup. We tested it this morning on the 6 o'clock news. It worked, so I'm hoping it's going to work fully tonight. But Tori and Heidi, they both mentioned, I actually met them because I host a daytime talk show, and we had them on last fall. And I do about 4 to 6 interviews a morning here in Washington, D.C., everything from celebrities to local groups who are trying to put out what they are promoting in the community. And I saw She Factor and I started reading about it. And normally I do about 15 to 20 minutes of prep before an interview. I went in, I told Tori I listened to all of her podcasts she had already put out. She Factor is something I wish I had had when I was graduating from college, and especially all through the 20s, because you heard Tori say, we all feel this way. We all have this vision of what we want our future to look like, and we graduate college and we want to be in that place that we are dreaming and that we're envisioning ourselves in. But it takes a long time to get there, which is why the slide you see on the screen is a work in progress. That's actually the title of my book that I wrote right after I got out of my 20s. I wrote it when I was 30, and it's written for all of you because it was like, okay, here's what I've learned in my 20s as I was climbing the broadcasting ladder, trying to get to Washington, D.C., trying to get more out of the news journalism and into the talk show lifestyle, which is where I am now, but wanting it to happen so quickly. So I just have 3 quick things. I'm not going to talk for very long that I hope you take away from some of the lessons that I learned in my 20s and a little bit before as well. The first one is, if you are a planner like I am, you never know what's going to happen. There are things that you have planned for that will never happen. And there are many things in life that you have never planned for, you never dreamed would be possible, that will just come out of nowhere and completely change your course and your path. The second thing I hope you take away from this is that you should try everything in your 20s. Like, this is the time when you can go out and say, let me see if I like that. All right, I like this part of it. I don't like this. Let me try something else. Let me mix in a little bit of a different type of scenario to what I'm now exploring. This is the time to do it. And then finally, I also hope you give yourself some time, that you allow yourself to be the work in progress. So I told you that I am a talk show host now. I was not always this way. Let me see if I can advance the slide. Do I just hit the arrow? Let's see.
You should have access of the mouse. You just click the little arrow in the corner.
I'm in the corner. Sorry, guys. This really does feel like I'm back at work. There's in the top corner?
Bottom corner, like right here. Can you see where my arrow is?
No.
Oh gosh. Okay, wait.
I'm sorry, guys.
Ellen. Okay, now try it.
Down in the bottom corner.
Yep. Or just try clicking the next button. Oh, there you go.
Maybe. Oh, did it go?
Yeah, you have it now. Okay, go.
Guys. Oh, there we go. That's the slide we want. Okay, perfect. So this is me many years ago. I'm the youngest of 3 girls. So you see my sisters there, my 2 older sisters, and then my mom and dad. I grew up in a small town in Salina, Ohio. And truly, I always go back to my why, which is not just my family, but it's also my sister. So my oldest sister, I know the screen's kind of going back and forth. Did I do something, Tori?
Screen freaked out. Hold on, guys.
I can keep talking and y'all can just see whatever pictures are coming up. My oldest sister, Christina, was getting ready for her senior year in high school. She was a junior in high school at the time and was a smart student. She was ranked 3rd in her class. She was president of the National Honor Society. She played on the golf team. She was in chamber choir and did all of the musicals. And the summer before she was starting her senior year of high school, where she had it all figured out, she was going to go to college next. Like, that was her plan and her path and her future. She was working on a golf course back in 2000, so 20 years ago this summer. She had been working when there was a storm that came through the area. And Christina was inside the clubhouse where people check in to play golf, and had gone and was safe during the storm. She had gone inside. The storm passes through our town, and Christina went back outside after it was no longer raining. The storm was going to the next small town nearby. And she was doing one last job of the day, which was to pick up these golf bag stands that were on the driving range. And when she was bending over to pick one up, she was struck by a bolt of lightning. that bolt of lightning had actually come back from the storm, and it hit my sister in a direct strike that was so powerful, it really sent her into cardiac arrest. And so long-term injuries for my sister was really a brain injury, an anoxic brain injury. And 20 years later today, she still has not been able to walk or move on her own since then. She has not been able to do more than nod her head yes and no. She's very aware. And I think what you're seeing right now is our family picture today. You can see her smiling. She loves my niece, my little 2-year-old niece. She's a little younger in that picture. Is very aware and is very happy, but she was going down one path and everything instantly changed for her, right? She didn't see this coming. And I always laugh because people usually say, as the most rare thing that could ever happen to you is you'd be struck by lightning. Well, if it's not meant to be, I'll be struck by lightning. For me, that's been a reality of knowing, okay, I planned all of this, but this can really actually happen. Like something that you never think will happen. So you never know. When you're planning your future, you also have to be aware that you might have to embrace some things that you actually aren't planning on. My sister did not plan on this. And yet she is the most joyful, kind-hearted person that I know. She is not mad that this happened to her. She's not upset that she never went to college and never walked down the aisle to get married. She still lives at home with my parents. They are full-time caregivers to her as well because she can't move, but she has embraced it. And she has changed more lives as she is today than I think had she have been any other way if she had gone on. And that's because she's embraced what life has also thrown to her. So that was something that's strong in my foundation of my why. You always want to have your why, right? Like why do I want to do this? What is my purpose behind this? But then also it's there as like, there's only so much you can control. The second thing, I'll try to advance the slide, see how this goes. Maybe I'll just let Tori advance it if she can hear me.
I got it.
Okay, nice.
Just tell me when.
So this is kind of my career since I graduated college. So when I was in college, I had a professor tell me, he knew I wanted to be a broadcaster. And he asked me if I had ever tried a pageant to help my career. And I had never tried a pageant. My dad always said the Bryans don't do pageants. And so at his suggestion, I tried one summer, won a local and then went to compete at Miss Ohio and was 4th runner-up the first year. And I won a bunch of scholarship money. And so I went back. And after 3 years, right when I graduated from college, I won Miss Ohio and I went to compete at Miss America. So that was my first year post-college. From then on, within less than the next 7 years, I moved and lived in 6 different states. So I was Miss Ohio and then I started my broadcasting career right away. And I moved to Kentucky. I moved to Dallas, Texas, which is what you're seeing in the middle picture. I worked for NBC, the network. So that was really cool for their local station in Dallas. And then I moved out to Washington, D.C. And the last picture you're seeing there is my current job of working as a talk show host. There are many pictures missing in between here of times when I did not love what I was doing, when I had a pit in my stomach driving to work thinking, I don't want to pitch a story idea. This is not me. I realized very early on that I'm non-confrontational. And so as a reporter, and when I was in college, I thought I wanted to be an investigative reporter. If you would have asked me back then, I would have said, I want to work for the network and I want to be a strong investigative reporter, putting out stories that will change people's lives, which they do, and they are very necessary. But 2 months in, I knew that was not for me. And so I had to slowly try everything and figure out, okay, what do I like to do in this industry? So I produced, I had to run my own teleprompter for the weekend show that I anchored. I would also report it and also shoot video for, and you would edit the video as well. I did street reporting on a morning show down in Dallas. And then finally, when I came to Washington, D.C., I moved in to do traffic on their morning show. And I realized I really liked to be able to ad-lib, to not be stuck to scripts and just reading. It didn't feel very authentic to me. And so after a couple years of doing traffic, then I moved over to doing a talk show, which is where I just feel so at home because it is getting to tell people's stories, but you're just talking to them. You're just having a conversation with them. And it took a decade to get there. And so I think what I learned by trying so many different positions and having to move around so much for a broadcasting career is that I knew what I didn't like to do, but I also have empathy for people who are doing that at our station. So people who are producing, I have a lot of empathy for them when I'm on air because I know what it's like to be in that seat. And it really helps you out in your working environment when you can understand different roles and then also know how you can help other people while being the best at what you do. I want to show you, the next slide is actually of Lizzo. I don't know if you have also thought that 2019 was the year of Lizzo. I did for sure. She put this out as everyone started calling her an overnight success. And she said, 8 years of touring, giving out free tickets to my undersold shows, sleepless nights in my car, losing my dad, giving up on music, playing shows for free beer and food with negative $32 in my bank account, constantly writing songs but hearing no, but always saying yes, glad I never gave up. Her, and then also another example is Amy Schumer, who's the next slide, who is also called an overnight success. Just as about everybody in Hollywood who once they make it big, they act like they just came out like this, right? That there wasn't the 20 years of hard work to get to where they are today. My fiance is actually a comedian, and he was with Amy Schumer back when she was first starting out in New York City, going to the little bars, performing sets for 10 people, trying to work out a set, figure out what she was good at, what she didn't want, trying everything at that moment. She definitely had to work for it, as everyone does. And I think that's what we forget the most. We forget that it's actually going to take some time to actually develop into the person that you want to be. Kind of have that vision, and you can see your future and you say, okay, I'm a big visualization person. Okay, this is what I want to do, but it's going to take time to get there, and no one can replace that time. It's the experience that you put in. I love this quote, this next on the next slide, Tori, that it was kind of the base for when I started writing my book. It says, you're allowed to be both a masterpiece and a work in progress simultaneously. I always wanted to write a book, but I always thought I couldn't be an author until I had learned everything, until I had put in all the time, I had all the lessons learned, and then I was going to put it all into a book, include a big part of it was my sister's story, and then I was going to publish it, and that would be my work. And I really had this bug to write a book, and I kept saying, why don't you just write one right now? You have a lot of stories, a lot of lessons from your 20s. Why don't you write a book and put it out as I had turned 30 of here's what I've learned in my 20s. And I'm not done yet. I'm definitely a work in progress. I got on Great Day Washington and thought, okay, what's next? How do I develop this? And that's right when I published the book and started my own business. And so I'm really embracing this season, as you should as well, to know that you're a masterpiece right now. You're also a work in progress. It's only going to get better from here. Really, you're starting with a great foundation. And as you think about your future and your planning, it is great to have that vision and know where you want to go. But then, like my sister, be able to take whatever life throws you down that path and say, all right, okay, let me embrace this. Now this is part of my story and who I am. Instead of getting bitter about your story, you use it to tell your lessons and to maybe help someone else out and maybe have that authenticity, and people can relate to you more because you are being real and you've been through something and you're a genuine person. I think there's one more slide. I did want to give you all a chance to connect. So that's my website right there. I have these little things called Minute Motivations, and someone emailed me yesterday or the day before. They said, these Minute Motivations are really helping me right now. Talk about uncertainty about the future. Right now, everyone's like, what's happening tomorrow? I mean, we're starting to broadcast from our homes. This has never been done before, right? So we all feel like, okay, so many things are out of our control. I have a ton of Minute Motivations on my website, ellenbryan.com. You can go just start your day with one little minute to kind of pick up your spirits. And then I also wanted to give you guys all this special offer for my book. It's very similar to Minute Motivation. It's kind of just one little page a day to try to start you off on the right foot. I will give it to you all for $10. So basically I'll ship it to you. I'll sign it and everything. Just send me an email if you would like a copy of the book. And I see Tori's pop back up. Yeah.
A couple people are going to get it in the giveaways today.
That's true. That is true. You can get it for free.
Exactly. That was so awesome, Ellen. Every time I hear your story and I've read your book, and it gives me goosebumps every time. And I know we have some questions that people want to ask. So
Nice.
Abigail wants to know, how did your experience with pageants prepare you for your professional career and personal development?
Oh my gosh. So I love the Miss America program is mainly the one that I still volunteer and I go back because they paid for my college education. I never have regretted doing Miss Ohio, doing Miss America. What has been very hard for me was I competed at a time when they still had the swimsuit competition that's only been eliminated recently. And so to me, what I felt like the standard of beauty was set at the time when I was competing was something that was extremely unrealistic. It was not healthy for me. I developed a lot of negative body image issues, and that really carried over for many years into my career because I'm also being on TV, people, that's the first thing they critique of you every day is what you wear and what you look like.
But you have great outfits.
Well, thank you. I rent all my clothes now. I cut my hair recently this short. I cut it short right after I ended pageants and right when I was done with Miss Ohio. And then I cut it this short recently. And it has felt very much like, okay, because no one would have ever told me to cut my hair this short when I was competing. But the really good thing of competing in pageants was that I learned who I was. And you develop a thick skin, which you need in broadcasting. So it was a great recommendation because people will critique me today. I'll be like, oh, I've heard much worse. Don't worry. Just from people you're in the audience watching the pageant. It's just kind of part of that environment.
Well, going off of that, and I think that in this time for everyone, I love this question and I think it's really important, but how have you remained so optimistic and hopeful with so much negativity, and especially in an industry? I mean, I was a broadcast journalism major and that was what I thought I wanted to do too. And even, in podcasting and whatnot, it's, there's always so much pressure on you. So how do you deal with that and just remain so positive?
I think that's why I always start out with my sister's story. I mean, I always lay in bed in the morning and the first thing I do when my alarm goes off, I actually have the book back here, The 5-Second Rule by Mel Robbins. I definitely recommend that. Before I do the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, let me get out of bed, I list 3 things that I'm grateful for. And it's so funny because I think of my sister who would lay in bed when she wakes up in the morning. And just to sit up in bed would be the best day that she's had in 20 years. I would be the most movement. And here I can sit up and I can get out of bed and I can go to a job that I really like. Like, I am so grateful and so blessed. And so I almost feel like it would be a slap in the face to her if I was negative and complaining about things. Not that I don't, I definitely do. But if I lived in that space, I just have such a great example in her of, all right, you know what, you really have a really great life. Let's go and do whatever you can with what you've been given.
I love that. Let's see, I'm going to find one last really good question. And then also for everyone too, you can go, Ellen, you can go in and type in answers to everyone too.
Okay.
Q&A also, so everyone can get their questions answered as well. Let's see. Ooh, the pressure's on. I like this one. Okay. Give us an example of one of your 1-minute motivation and how you refuel yourself. And this one I know has to be tough for you because I remember reading somewhere that you would literally get up at midnight to write your book and then go produce your show. Right. So how did you do that?
I can actually, Sure, Tori. That actually is a minute motivation I've done before, is you have to do whatever gives you energy. So there are things that you do in life that will just drain you. The Energy Bus is another book that I like a lot. And you have to be so aware of what gives you energy and what drains your energy. And it's going to be different for everyone. I really like to organize and clean. Like, cleaning actually cleans my mind. And I feel like, okay, now I can go to bed or I can start my day. My fiance that would be like the worst thing to him. So you have to figure out what is it that will actually give me energy. But when it came to writing the book, I had never had problems. I woke up at 2 a.m. because I was on the early morning show at that point for work already. I was so drained by the time I got home. 5 hours of live TV was a lot. I just couldn't get myself to be creative and write. So I realized I was going to have to wake up at midnight to start writing instead. I never had any trouble getting up at midnight to write. It was like this, I love this. This is what I want to do. This gives me so much energy that I would 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, get out of bed and jump in the shower and start writing. And within 6 months, I wrote and published the book. It all happened very, very quickly.
Super
But you
woman.
have to do, oh, thank you. You have to do whatever gives you energy. Really, that is something to be aware of as you're trying everything. Try it, be like, all right, no, that's not what does it for me. And go to something else, because it's going to be different for everyone.
100%. I love all of that. Okay, cool people. If you have more questions for Ellen, go ahead and put them in the Q&A box so she can answer them
Yes.
for you guys as well. That was so incredible. I'm so grateful that this crazy thing called fate brought you into our lives and that we got to be on your show. And it's just been such
Yes.
a honor. So thank you for sharing your story with everyone.
Yeah, thank you for having me on and for keeping me involved. The She Fact, I really wish that this had been around earlier, because it's such a great tool. We all have felt the same way in our 20s. You're not alone.
Appreciate that. All right. Okay. So now we have a giveaway, everyone. A chance to win Ellen's book too.
Yay.
Woohoo. Move back over here to the, let's see, to the slides. Can everyone see the slide that has the beautiful Skylar brand on it? I think we're back to normal programming. So round of virtual applause for Ellen. That was awesome. Before we introduce our next speaker, we do have a giveaway sponsored by Skylar. So Skylar Scent Club is the world's first and largest clean perfume subscription program. You can enjoy brand new travel size limited edition scent straight to your doors for $20 a month. They're customizable. You can skip, change, or cancel the subscription anytime. All of their perfumes are clean, non-toxic, hyperallergenic, and vegan, cruelty-free. Mouthful. And they're all very much approved by Team She. We all got our own and we have been obsessed with them. So they're offering us a 50% off your first month if you use the code 50SheFactor. And courtesy of Skylar, the first 75 of you who registered for the event are going to receive this month's scent. So congratulations. And you'll be receiving information from us after the event. And then 5 lucky winners will also be getting this month's She Kit, which has the scent included as well. Okay, so to enter, you're gonna go to She Factor's Instagram page, our most recent post, you're gonna like it and tag 2 friends in it in the comments. And then 5 of you at the very end of the programming will win a She Factor box. And hold on, I have one right here in person. I'll even show you. If I can get open. There we go. All the things in the box. I'm a great model. So go ahead and enter, and you have obviously until the end of the seminar to do that. So now we'll move on to our next speaker is Millennial Clarity Coach Chris Castillo. She started Empowered Achiever to empower women to take ownership of their career and lives after her own journey to find what she loved in her own career. And I know you guys heard my story at the beginning. Our stories are very similar. And she's just done such an amazing job at helping other women on that journey. So again, enter your questions in the Q&A for Chris to answer at the end, and we'll do another Q&A session. And Chris, I'm gonna bring you up here. Let's see. All right, she should be popping up anytime now. There you are. Hi. Hello, hello.
Hi, can everyone hear and see me okay?
I can.
All right, that's
Great.
yeah.
The
And
floor is yours.
all right, am I able to control your screen? Is that
Yeah, let me, okay.
it's only for your sake, because I originally come from advertising and we used to make our slides decks with tons and tons of slides. So to spare you from having to say
I think it says waiting for you to control your screen.
There we go.
Yeah.
There we go. Hi, everyone. That is me. I'm Chris. I am the founder of Empowered Achievers, as Tori said, and I originally come from the world of corporate advertising. So as Tori mentioned, our experiences were a bit similar. It sounds like Ellen definitely, right? All of us have the, what I typically call with my clients, right, the quarter life crisis of sorts. But I certainly have that as well. I originally come from the advertising world in San Francisco, where at my peak in that industry, I was the media buyer at an agency with Google as my main client. And so, you know, it was great. I was doing award-winning work, and yet I started to have the feeling that a lot of people do, which is, okay, great. Everything about this is technically good on paper, but is this really what I want to be doing forever? And I think, you know, people typically, right, have one reason or another that compels them to ask that question. For me, it was that my mom was fighting terminal ovarian cancer and had been battling it for 5 years. It came back, it was a whole thing. But her whole process was my moment that really made me say, oh my God, life is short. Is this really what I want to be doing? And so I transitioned my own career within the agency world from, you know, a successful talent development, and from a successful media buying role into a successful talent development role. So I moved into talent development, which is all of the employee training, development, all that fun stuff. And that really led me to be where I am today. So I started, let me see if I can change that slide again. Yeah. I don't know for some reason why I'm not able to change it, but unfortunately, Toy, for you, that means I will just keep saying next a lot. So sorry about that. Hopefully I can figure it out. But yeah, so that's what compelled me to start Empowered Achievers. There we go. I see those little buttons that you have it. So that compelled me to start Empowered Achievers 3.5 years ago, which is my career coaching and development business, where I work with millennial women to help them get clarity on what they actually want in their career. So I always say, you know, focusing on your career and helping you get clarity on what you actually want, because that's the problem, is so many of us haven't ever been taught to ask those questions. And that's what I wanted to take you through today. So we are going to be talking about taking ownership of your career. So ownership is, you know, I always say, is one of the most transformational things when it comes to your career. And the reason I care so much about this is because I didn't always have that ownership myself. So this is a particularly important passion point of mine, because as I said, when I was in advertising, I very much felt like I was in a career that had happened to me, opposed to as a result of me. I felt like everything had just, you know, I had graduated from college with a marketing emphasis, and so it was the natural progression. And then one day I opened my eyes and scratched my head and said, uh-oh, you know, I don't know if this is necessarily a place that I intentionally ended up or not. And so once I actually learned how to take ownership of my career, everything drastically changed for me. And that's why I wanted to share this concept and a particular little lesson in general for each of you today, because I think it can be so incredibly helpful. There we go. So the common problem we see when it comes to taking ownership is we often see people saying, how did I get here, right? I'm sure, tell me in the chat, but I'm sure a lot of you can probably relate to this, right? How did I get here thing? And the reason we typically end up in that place is because we are at this kind of fork in the road where we haven't, you know, when we're ending up somewhere and we haven't actually thought about where we want to go intentionally, then it's pretty hard to get there, right? So I'm seeing some of you say in the comments, yeah, definitely relatable. The example I use here is a piece of pizza. And while that might seem like a far stretch of an example, the way I always explain it is like if your friend is going and they're going to go to the local food court and they say, hey, do you want anything? You say, oh yeah, great. Could you grab me a piece of pizza? Awesome. They come home, give you their piece of pizza, and it's Hawaiian pizza. Now, Hawaiian pizza is a very divided debate. Some people have very strong feelings pro pineapple on pizza. Some people are anti. But let's just say, for the sake of this scenario, that you are very team no pineapple on pizza. Now, if your friend brings you pineapple pizza, kind of might be a little annoyed. But the reality is, you can't really get mad at her because you didn't tell her what type of pizza you wanted, right? Okay, there's a lot of pro pineapples actually in the comments I see. But again, right, you can't get mad at this person for bringing you the thing that you didn't actually specify. And so that's what we typically see with careers, right? A lot of people get to this place where they haven't thought about what they want. So of course, it's probably not going to just dawn upon them that they get there. And so what we want instead is to actually look at this, you know, our best case scenario is ownership with flexibility. So the example I use here is it's like driving a bus, right? You want to be in the driver's seat, not in the passenger seat. Because in the passenger seat, stuff can happen and there's forks in the road and you don't really have much control if maybe the driver isn't very good. But if you're in the driver's seat, you can see the lines in the road, you can see things changing, and you can adjust to it as needed. So these are the examples I want you to keep in the back of your mind, right? We don't want the open-ended, just grab you a slice of pizza situation. We want to be specific about what we're asking from people and what we're asking from ourselves and what we're asking for our careers, because that's the best case scenario for us to get there. And the reason why we have so often people with this kind of how did I get here feeling is because very few of us have actually been taught how to take an empowered approach in our careers, right? This is so incredibly unfortunate, but this is one of my own personal soapbox moments of, I think it's such a shame that none of us are taught this in college, but it's the truth. As Tori said, right, a lot of us feel this way because we don't understand how this happened to us, and all of a sudden we're just in some place and scratching our heads. And so I want you to remember that you get to actually set the path of your career. And especially now with the unprecedented times, right? I think it can be, right now is a really challenging time for a lot of people in many ways. A lot of people are confused. A lot of people are feeling overwhelmed. But the reality is, with so much change going on, with everything, obviously, our lives have been kind of upended. We want to take into account that there are still some things that you can try and do your best to control. And of course, right, I always like to say, we don't necessarily, there's a lot of things we can't control. That's just the truth of it. But we want to look at what are the things that I can have an impact on. And so that's what I wanted to take you all through, a little exercise and teach you a little lesson so that you can actually take something away from it and then start to say, okay, what are the things that I can control? And what are the things that I do have autonomy and ownership over right now? So let's get into it. The little mini lesson I wanted to take you all through today was the theory of being at cause. So being at cause is this concept that's based in neurolinguistic programming, type of psychology, study within psychology, and it is based in this idea that there are two ways of showing up, either at cause or at effect. Now, if you are at effect, this whole concept is, right, you're thinking about how things are affecting you. So if something happens, you typically say, if you are at effect, oh, well, it's not my fault, it didn't work out, right? Something else happened. It's always looking at these external factors that are impacting the results you're getting. And when we are feeling at effect, right, we often make excuses for why things don't work out, and it's not really an empowering place to hang out. When we are at cause, right, then we are able to acknowledge, okay, everything that happens is as a result of us. Of course, not everything, but a lot of things that happen are as a result of us, right? And in this situation, we are able to look at the actual influence that we have and improve and kind of make that impact greater over time. And so the example I always use here is, right, we have what happens, how I choose to respond, and there's kind of two potential outcomes here. Now, the example I use is when we're talking about performance reviews, right? So if you are in a performance review and you're really expecting to get this specific promotion and you don't, and your manager says you don't have enough experience managing people in order to move into whatever role it is. Well, maybe you go to your friend and you say, oh my gosh, my manager said that I couldn't get that promotion because I don't have enough experience in managing people. And can you believe this? This sucks. This is just horrible. The conversation ends there. And after that conversation, there's not really much that you can go from there, right? So that is an at effect mindset. Ain't it awful? Bummer, bummer. Kind of the end of the conversation. Or if you're in that same situation, you can say, you know, what really happens, you go to your friend and you say the exact same thing. Hey, I talked to my manager and I didn't get that promotion. And they said it was because I don't have enough experience managing people. And doesn't it suck? And I guess maybe I could have done more to show them that I could manage people. So even if I haven't had experience managing a team, maybe I could have, you know, asked to lead that special project or volunteered on our internal employee fund committee or whatever it is to show them that I could get management chops, even though I haven't had that experience before. Right. So do you guys understand the difference between those two mindsets? Let me know in the chat if this makes sense to you. At effect, right, is having that conversation and saying, man, this stinks. And at cause is saying, man, this stinks, but what could I have done? Okay, cool. I'm glad this is making sense. So that's what we want you to think about. And that's why I always like to kind of do some sort of little exercise. And of course we have limited time and we're remote, so I can't flip chart everything out for you, although all my clients know I love a good flip chart situation. But I want each of you to think of one situation in which you didn't get what you wanted. So maybe it was a promotion, maybe it was a conversation that didn't go the way you want it to go, something that you didn't necessarily get. So bring that to mind super quickly, and you can come back to this after and take a little more time on it, because I think it's going to be a really helpful thing that you can always come back to. So think of one thing that you haven't gotten that you wanted, and then think about why. Think about why that may have happened and what are the reasons, and kind of bring up those reasons in your mind of, well, it was because my manager said I didn't have that management experience, or whatever those reasons might be for you, and kind of bring up a little mental list. And then I want you to think about, where's your go-to? So is it more in this kind of at effect zone or at this at cause zone? At effect, right, being this, things are happening to me and oh my gosh, all these reasons are externally focused, or at cause being, what are the parts that I can acknowledge that maybe I could have an impact on? And a lot of people typically, right, a lot of people have room to grow towards the at cause thing. The great part about mindset is it's not permanent, right? There's nothing that you're like, well, I guess I just feel like things happen to me and that's the end of the conversation. You can definitely have an impact on where this sits. And so think about, if you tend to fall a little more at effect, what can you start to do to move it more towards an at-cause approach? And we'll talk about that. I'll give you guys a few tips. But I wanted to first remind everyone why we use an at-effect mindset. So the reason we typically think at an at-effect mindset is because it's safe, right? It's a lot more comfortable to feel like things are happening to you than to take ownership of them, because it allows us to say, well, it's not my fault. And again, as I said, sometimes it's not, but sometimes we can say, well, maybe there is something I could have done there to have a different outcome as a result of it. And so it's not necessarily an empowering place to be, but that's why we do it. And I wanted to share why we do it, because I think it can help people be, right, a little bit more empathetic to the fact that it's not bad for thinking that way, but it's not necessarily helpful. So maybe we can work to shift it a little bit. And some of the things you can do to work and stay more at cause is, one, start to change the way you talk about things. So be cognizant of the language you're using around this happened to me, stuff like that. Try and be aware of it. In that same vein, build a support system. So if there's, a friend of yours join this call, you can say, let's be kind of buddies on this, and maybe you can help hold me accountable if I start to say stuff that's more at effect. So that's always a conversation you can have. Ask them to be your accountability buddy when it comes to that. Or share it with a friend afterwards if there's no one who's on this webinar right now. So build a support system. When you're feeling overwhelmed by change, so if you're feeling like, oh my gosh, there's so much I can do to try and get a different outcome than I wanted, think about small steps. So instead of, I could do these 10 things right now, what's the smallest thing that I could do to have the biggest impact? That's always what we want to see. And then last but not least, if anyone here is a manager, I would always encourage you to drive conversations with this in mind with your employees, right? So if someone's saying something didn't work out, ask them, okay, well, what could you have done differently in this situation, right? And giving them empowerment by actually having them take ownership, opposed to solving the problems for them, is the best thing you can do. So that's what I would say to encourage you all to stay at cause. But to wrap it all together, I want you to think about what you can do now to start to take a more at cause approach with your career. What are the conversations you can start to have? What are the things you can start to ask for? What are the things that you can do to start to take that approach, right? And one of the things I always like to highlight is clarifying when it comes to saying, clarifying our path. A lot of people say, well, I want to take ownership and I want to take an empowered approach and I want to ask for what I want, but what do I want, right? Some people don't necessarily know the answer to that question of what is it that I'm asking for? And so if that's a larger conversation that you are kind of curious about, of course, you can always reach out to me. This is what I do with clients day in and day out, help them to clarify what that path is. But what I would always encourage you to do is take what I call like the North Star approach, which is, instead of being so prescriptive and having a 10-year, this is exactly what the plan needs to look like, because as Ellen said, right? Those things can be great, but that path can shift at any moment. And it can be really scary when it feels like the path that we've laid out for ourselves is bottoming out because we realize we don't want it anymore. And instead of this kind of, well, I'll just kind of put no guardrails on it and just see where life takes me, which can often end up with us not ending up where we want to go. We want to take the North Star approach. So we want to think about, what's important to us as a whole and how we can do more of that each day. And I always say, right, all of my career advice can be boiled down to that. Do more of what you love as much as possible. And so that is what I would always focus on for each of you. I'm always happy to chat with any of you who are curious about what does that mean for me, because often, right, we have all kinds of layers of stuff that's blocking us to getting from that answer. But that's what I would encourage you to do, is think about can I do to take a more at-cause approach to my career, and how do I move more towards my North Star, what's important to me, what I want more of within my career, and start to have those conversations. So that is what I want for each of you, and that is all I have. And that's my contact info if anyone wants to reach out. But yeah, that's all I got for you today. So I'm happy, Heidi or Tori, to answer. I just saw one from Heidi come through, I think, or I don't know if it was a question, but Tori, if there's any questions in particular you want me to answer.
Yeah, I lost my mouse, but I found it. Okay, so I see a couple in here. I like this one from Grayson. For a lot of us in our early 20s, we're in entry-level positions where we are often under a manager. How do we take ownership of our career without being disrespectful, especially if we have managers that might take things too personally?
So I think that's a great question. And I think it's really important with a manager, right? Every management employee relationship is different. So it kind of depends on what your relationship is and the rapport that's there. In general, most managers love when you take ownership in terms of, right, because there's a line between saying this is what needs to happen to having it be a conversation with your manager. And the best case scenario is to have a good rapport with them, have this be an ongoing conversation so that they know what's important to you, you know what's important to you, and you can ask, is there a way for me to do more of this, right? So it doesn't have to feel like overstepping. It doesn't have to feel like going in and saying, like, this is what I need to be doing, otherwise I'm gonna burn this thing to the ground, right? It doesn't have to be that way, but having it be a collaborative conversation, because a good manager wants your best case, wants to keep your best interest at heart. I have a manager who I always say is the best, and I still think of him to this day. And I remember when I was on the media team at my ad agency before I made that transition that I mentioned, I went to him and said, I've been really liking this training stuff and I want to do more of this, and I don't know if there's a way to make that happen. And he said to me, he's like, it breaks my heart to have you want to not be on my team anymore. But I knew from day one, the day I hired you, I was never going to have you forever. So I want to do what keeps you at the company and makes you happiest. So let's figure out a way to make sure you're doing more of that work. And that's a great manager. Good conversation.
Always ones out there.
Yeah, there are good ones out there. Yeah.
And to go off that too, I see a couple questions regarding this, but do you have any specific advice so say you do identify those things that make you more passionate in a job, whether it be in your job or maybe it's a new job. And I think there's a lot of people in this time of uncertainty right now, or maybe they just got laid off, or maybe they just left a job. So what specific advice you have for like redefining that path and finding that North Star, especially amidst not being able to control a situation like we're in right now? Like, what is it's kind of a loaded question, but your best advice for people going through that uncertainty right now?
So in terms of uncertain times, right, I think uncertain times can feel really overwhelming, but the thing that I always try and remind people of is even when there's certain times, they're actually not that certain, right? And I think that's that thing that like we sometimes forget is we start to have a regular routine and we start to think of it as business as usual, but the reality is stuff can change at any moment, as we've all seen these last couple weeks, where we're like, I didn't even have this in the back of my mind 2 months ago, and now it is. So the reality is we don't have control about much, but I think the thing that I will always tell clients is it is the most terrifying, because I always tend to work with high achievers like myself and like all of you, it sounds like, is right, this typically kind of more type A. I like to have things planned. And so when we realize we don't have control over a lot of things, it can feel terrifying and like the world's bottoming out. But the thing I always remind people is the thing that you always have control over is yourself. right? In terms of, I can't control what's going to happen, but I can control how I'm going to rise to the occasion. So for clients who are feeling like, oh my gosh, you know, what am I going to do in this situation? You're probably also not going to get in the fetal position and just sit and cry and wait for this to all get resolved. So think about, what are the things you can control? Okay, well, maybe what can I do to try and take, you know, ownership over the situation and try and take incentive and try and take action, opposed to just waiting for this to happen to me and being bummed about it. But in terms of how to follow more of what's fulfilling to you, which is, I think, another part of your question, typically, I think thinking about where you're at right now. So if your industry, you know, is, or the realm you're in is not hiring right now, or a lot of people are being laid off, then you can always say, okay, maybe it's time for me to look at some sort of like bridge opportunity. So stepping stone, something to tide me over and just pay my bills until I can start to find more of those jobs that are more fulfilling to me. But I always think the most important part is for people to clarify what it is that they're going towards first, what it is that's important to them, so they can get more of it. Because if they're just taking whatever is there because it's an opportunity to pay them, I think that it can be fine as a stepping stone, but just be conscious of the fact that it's a stepping stone. Because a lot of times people get a little too comfortable in that, and then they end up in the place where 3 years later, they're like, actually, I hated this. I don't know why I'm here.
And the last thing you want to do is waste time. I think that that was how my experience was. Like, I looked back and I was like, okay, like, do I want to be doing this for 5 years? Like, I maybe can do the job, but do I really want to be doing this job? And like, if there's something that I'm called to do that's bigger and better. And I see that somebody asked this question, and we're running out of time, but I do think it's important to note that in these uncertain times, like, something you can be doing, like Ellen was saying, is explore, try new things, and learn. Like, this is the time to like take in as much information as you can that's available. There's so many free resources out there. So really quick, what would be like your go-to place for resources to learn and experiment during times like these?
So in terms of resources, there's a lot of great books. My favorite book that I always talk about and always refer to people is Mindset, The New Psychology of Success. I have a whole page on my website that has links to it in case anyone wants to know what it is. But yeah, Mindset, The New Psychology of Success by Carol Dweck. It's awesome. It is my favorite book, and it really impacted my career. So I would definitely say in terms of books, that's it. And then in terms of other resources and things you can do during this time, I would always start by clarifying what is important to me, what kind of opportunities I've considered, and then look at how each of those align to what's important to me. So that's often what I take clients through and take them through that process. But I think that's a good place to start right now in terms of exploring, is clarifying what are the potential routes forward, and then actually looking into each of those and seeing how those align with you at your best.
Totally, 100%. Well, that was so awesome. I think everyone absolutely loved it and got a lot out of it. So thank you so much, Chris. We appreciate you having you on. Wow. Also, if you could hop on and answer, there's a ton of questions for you too in the Q&A. I'm sure Chris will work on getting those answered too. Lots of good questions that you guys answered. I wish we could get to all of them, which actually we could potentially get to them at the end. So keep them coming. So next, just as you're feeling so empowered about all of your guys' careers, our next giveaway is sponsored by Mavely, which talk about empowering women in business. This is a great opportunity to do so. I know a lot of us wow, guys, words are so hard right now. A lot of us have been looking for businesses to support during this time, and Mavely just really brings the best of them all right to you. So Mavely brings together everyday shoppers with a network of 500 plus female-founded retail partners to shop, share, and earn back for discovering innovative products. So yes, that means that you can actually earn money and rewards for being on the platform, being on the app, and the best direct-to-consumer lifestyle brands that you want, from female-founded bathing suits, clean beauty, sustainable products that all do good for the world. So everyone should go download Mavely right now, because you may get a gift, prize, giveaway, and join the fastest growing social shopping community. And speaking of Mavely, we do have the co-founder, Peggy, here with us today as our next speaker. And like I said, I think she has a special giveaway for y'all. So I'm going to hand the floor over to her. Give me a second to make this transition. Peggy, are you there? Hello.
Hey, how are you? Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you.
Okay.
Tell
All
everyone
right.
a little
Thank
bit
you,
more.
Tori. You are the best. Okay, everybody get moving around.
Yeah,
Get your wine out because I know that we've been, I have like such attention deficit that I know that it's hard to sit and listen for a long period of time. So I'm going to make it fun. I've got a game for you guys. This is Mavely. So I would love everybody while I'm talking. I do have some great giveaways. I do have some content I want to share with you. But I would love for you to pull out your phone. And if you have an iPhone or you have Android, go to Google Play or the App Store and open up and download Mavely. So obviously you can see it there, Mavely. So everybody that downloads Mavely, I'm going to be able to look at the back end. I can see who's downloading it, and I have some 3 awesome prizes that I'm going to give away at the end, which are from our collection of brands, which I know you will love. They are all geared towards women your age. They are sustainable, female founded, healthy, clean, fun, lifestyle products. They're products that actually we need right now. Products like Caviar, home delivery of food, Blue Apron, Sunbasket, P-Vol, which is such a cool at-home workout equipment. We have a work-at-home tech equipment. We have products for your children who are doing schoolwork at home if you have children. We have health and wellness. Everybody needs a little CBD sometimes, and we all need a little bit of probiotics. And we also have cozy pajamas, blankets, all kinds of lifestyle products. So while I'm talking, I'm going to go fast. I'm a mom of 5. Again, my name is Peggy O'Flaherty. Mavely is my 4th company. So what I really want to talk to you about is, I've done a lot of things. I'm 50 years old, and I'm much older than the other speakers. I thought Ellen and Chris did a great job. I want to, give a big kudos to both of them. They touched on what I really want to talk about tonight. And with being 50 years old and this being my 4th company, I do feel like I have a little bit of wisdom to share with all of you. And I want to thank you for spending your time with me tonight. 2, I want to let you know that I'm going to talk fast because as a mom of 5, I have to get a lot accomplished before I lose your attention. So both Ellen and Chris talked about something that was really critical, which is life is going to throw us curveballs, right? Right now, this coronavirus is an enormous curveball. And so when life throws us curveballs, what I've learned in business, what I've learned in life is all about our resilience, and how we are resilient through those times has everything to do with the relationships in our life. And when you think about relationships, and there's all kinds of relationships, you've got your girlfriends, your sisters, you've got your parents, you've got children, perhaps you have your coworkers, you have your boss, you have all of these relationships. But I want to tell you what has been the real success, the secret to my success with being resilient and pushing through relationships. When we have issues like curveballs that are thrown our way, we tend to either have 1 or 2 things that happen. Either we feel connected in control of the issue, or we feel disconnected and out of control from the issue. When we are disconnected, what often happens is we tend to isolate. We tend to want to numb ourselves. Sometimes we want to over control things. Sometimes we want to perfect things. Sometimes we want to push it under the rug and pretend that it's not happening. Sometimes we want to turn to maybe either too much wine or too much fitness or any of those things when we're feeling disconnected from a situation or from people in our life. But I want to encourage you to be courageous. I want to encourage you to be vulnerable. I want to encourage you to let people really see who you are. And what does that potentially look like? Sometimes letting people see who you really are means admitting you don't have all the answers. I think Chris was talking about a job interview situation, and I want to encourage you, and I know it's really hard, especially when you're younger, to admit that you don't have all the answers. But I want to encourage you, you will get more bees with honey than you do with vinegar. That's something my mom used to say. I want to encourage you to feel okay letting people see when you don't have all the answers. I want to encourage you to take risks in life. I want to be encouraging you as women to go ahead and ask that guy out. Don't wait for him to ask you out. I want to encourage you to ask for the next promotion and put yourself out there, or go for the job that maybe you don't know if you're qualified for, but I bet you're going to work your butt off to get it and do it really well. I just want to encourage you to sometimes say no, because sometimes we need to know when we've reached a limit, and the best thing for us to do is walk away and say no. So again, when we're feeling connected to things, that's when we really unleash our creativity. That's when we have joy. That's when we have happiness. That's when we feel alive. That's when we thrive. And so it's incredibly hard to feel connected when we don't allow ourselves to be vulnerable. So when we hold walls up, when we block ourselves, when we protect ourselves, those are the times that we actually put ourselves disconnected. We're numbing ourselves, we're removing ourselves, and we're limiting ourselves. So I just want to encourage you to open yourself up to those relationships in your life, maybe ones that have hurt you in the past, and take risks. I want to encourage you to let people see who you truly are. I want to encourage you to just be amazing, because all of you on this call are capable of amazing things. You are all incredibly beautiful inside and out. You are incredibly lovable, and amazing things are waiting for you. You're never too old. You're never too fat or too thin or too not smart enough. You're capable, okay? You're capable far beyond maybe even what you believe in yourself. Nobody ever thought at 50 years old I would be starting my 4th company. So I am so thrilled to be able to be here on this call with you today. I want to tell you, I lit this little candle, which is one of our products. It's called Otherland. It smells amazing. So again, Mavely is truly an app that is shopping with a purpose. My goal was to put female founders on a site, blending together a product like Amazon and a product like Instagram. So we're the fastest growing social shopping platform. Anything you shop, you get cash back. So hopefully everybody downloaded Mavely tonight. I'm going to go back onto the app while Tori is asking me some questions. If there's any questions, I would love for you to continue to follow us on Instagram at Mavely app. And we can maybe do another drawing over there on our social media Instagram site. But again, for everybody that downloaded Mavely tonight and built a profile, I'm going to go ahead and give away 3 amazing products. This is something that I absolutely love, which is, it's called Chill Mode. It's basically eye patches that are cannabis soothing seed eye gels for your eyes. And I think everybody needs one. There's 5 in here. I'm actually giving away 3 of these. I will ship them directly to you. So I have your email once I see that you downloaded. And I want to thank you guys for making time for yourself tonight to be here, to carving out time for She Factor, because She Factor is filled with incredible women and a leadership team that is here to serve you. So thanks you guys for giving me this time tonight. I hope I didn't talk too fast. Tori, I hand it back to you.
Hey, literally, I've have tears in my eyes right now. That was so empowering, so inspirational. I know I've been reading through the chat, and I think everyone else feels the same way. That was, I think, exactly what everyone needed to hear. So incredible, so incredible. So thank you for sharing that. I'm gonna let you do your thing and choose the giveaways. We'll have Andrea talk, and then we'll do the final Q&A all together. Does that work for you?
Absolutely. I have to go ahead and log in, and I don't know if people were still downloading. So let me go ahead and what?
I said everyone needs to go download now. I saw a couple people do it live on the chat, so we should be good to go.
All right, let me just pull it up, and I'm going to go ahead and do, I don't know if there's any questions, but I will do 3 giveaways right away. The first one is Danielle, O-G-R-E-N, Ogren. I may be pronouncing that wrong. So Danielle, I'm going to ship you one of the eye gels. The second one is Aaron Mann. So I got to write these down for myself so I don't forget. Danielle.
That was quick. You were on it.
Well, you know what? I'm lucky. When you develop technology, you get to see the front and the back end of everything that's going on. So my last winner will be Vanessa Shalom, S-A-L-O-M-O-N. So Vanessa, so I will send out 3 of the eye gels, the cannabis eye gels. Who doesn't want that? Give yourself a little bit of, I think we all need a little bit of chill mode right now. So, And then the other thing is everybody that has downloaded the app, anything that you shop, you get cash back. We also have a partner program. So if you go to mavely.life and look at our partner program, that opens up additional cash back, additional rewards, additional incentives. So if you apply to our partner program, I can connect with you tomorrow, and that just unlocks additional cash back for you. So thank you, Tori, so much, and Heidi for including me tonight. You have an amazing community.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. We appreciate you. And next we have Andrea, last but certainly not least. I'm gonna pull her up right now. Let's see, and then after Andrea, we're gonna do all of our last Q&A. So if you guys have any questions for Peggy or Andrea, we're gonna do a 10-minute Q&A just at the end while we're gathering all the giveaway winners. So keep those coming in the Q&A, and we'll ask those right after Andrea's done. So Andrea, hello.
Hi, can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Awesome. Hi, everyone. Thank you for hanging on. Like Peggy said, I know we've all been talking with you, so thanks so much for spending some time with me tonight. I really appreciate it. So I'm coming to you from Chicago, and I saw that there's a few other ladies on here, so hi to everyone. So much of what I'm going to share is from my own experience as well, and my own journey, and it might sound a little repetitive. There's been a lot of great advice and insight tonight, so just want to offer my perspective to you. So I'm Andrea, and my mission with my company is to help early career women like yourself redefine success for yourself and achieve success on your terms. And we've been hearing a lot about that tonight and how that looks. And just to offer you a different perspective, I often find with myself, when I was going through this at your age, and with my clients, many times the how did I get here comes from the shoulds. And the shoulds that are placed on us from our family, from our friends, or even self-imposed shoulds. And we tend to should all over ourselves sometimes. I know I did that early in my career, and it took some work to move on from that. So what happens is we tend to perceive and achieve and define success from these shoulds early on. And then we enter the real world, and we start to have new experiences and gain information and start to explore and expand a new definition of what that success can look like. And then we start to feel those questions start to rise up and start to experience some dissonance, right? Of, okay, well, I've perceived and achieved and thought of success in one way for a long time from my family and myself and my friends, and now I'm thinking of success in a different way. So how do I reconcile that? Do I reconcile that? How do I work through that? So much like we're experiencing now with change, that change brings a lot of questions and uncertainty and ambiguity. But what I want to remind you of is that it also can bring out a lot of resilience in yourself. And an early example of this that many of us can relate to is when we're moving from an educational setting into the workforce. So often you go from high school to a job, or from college to a job, and success has looked like taking exams and getting the grades. And then you go out into the real world and you're like, wait a second, there is no roadmap, there's no guidance, I don't know what this should look like. And then so you're curious about how to redefine that for yourself. So you might be thinking, okay, this makes sense to me, but how do I even start to do that? And I want you to do that and think of it from two main kind of pillars, in a way that can give you control, like we've been talking about, a way that can help control your narrative so the change doesn't feel like it's just happening to you, that you can put some control in there. So how do you do that? So I know we've talked a lot about planning and how, you know, change happens and you can deviate from plans, but you can still create control for yourself when you're trying to redefine your success. By three main ways. And this is something that I've learned from my own experience in coaching my clients, is that one, you have to have a way to redefine and realign and adjust what that looks like. So have a plan, but let it be fluid. There has to be some flexibility in there, because what you think is success now is going to naturally evolve and change. And you have to have a way to give yourself clarity. You know, Chris talked about this too. Find what it is that resonates with you. So what experiences, what talents, what education do you have, and how can you leverage that to help you support this new definition of success that you're trying to do and trying to navigate for yourself. And then have a way to give yourself tactical action or concrete action. So Chris also mentioned this, something that I coach on too, is having small steps, small way to move yourself forward so you can keep creating that momentum for yourself. So I want to illustrate that to you through my own early career should.
I should have been a doctor. That was something that was my success early on. And as you can tell, I am not a doctor, but I like to think of myself as maybe a career doctor now and helping my clients find their way. But much like you're experiencing now, I was about to graduate with my master's back in 2008. And I was so excited and was about to achieve this big goal. I had finished my bachelor's, gone on to a master's degree in psychology, and I was hit with a big change. The economy was going down at the time, and so many of you can relate to this right now. There was a huge change going on, and I had to really quickly, before I even entered the career world as my first instance, had to redefine success right away. So all of that opportunity and security that I was going to have and success and finding a job was gone. And I had to pivot and redefine success so early. And I realized that all of my education and all of my experience during that time had not prepared me to navigate that change. There was no framework. There was no textbook. There was no article I could say, how do I do this? How do I navigate that change? So like many of you and like many women in this figurative room right now, I had to get creative. And I had to dig really deep into my resilience, which Peggy just mentioned. And I had to create my own process, which is what I just mentioned to you, of creating that plan, figuring out a way for myself to adjust and realign my success definition with what I had in front of me. So I had to figure out, okay, with the experience, the education, the gifts and the talents that I had, how could I redefine what success meant? What jobs could I go after? I gave myself a way to sort through my relationships, my time, my resources, and really get clear on how I could support that and then take small steps to get me there. So that's a really high level overview of all of the career twists and turns, but it's something that I now have done for myself really successfully. I've been working for over a decade now, and I've used this process that I created and now coach on to successfully self-impose change in my career and have shifted through healthcare. I worked in higher education. I worked in a career services office. So many of you who are still in school, please utilize that resource. It's a great resource that you can lean into. I also was a project manager. So I've really been able to use this process and move myself forward. And I would remind all of you that just because you feel that your success or define your success one way now, certainly does not mean that you can't explore that and redefine it and expand it and lean into all of the different experiences that you're going to have as you go through. If someone would have told me a year ago or 2 years ago that I was going to be an entrepreneur pursuing my absolute passion and dream, I would have said back in my 20s, there's no way in heck that would ever happen. And that's just not true now. So really stay true to who you are. I'm not saying to put blinders on and to not listen to your family, to your friends, but you really have control over so much more than you think you do. And that change really is going to be the constant throughout your career. It's going to be either self-imposed, whether you want to level up or get a certificate or change jobs, or like we're experiencing now, it's going to be given to you without request. You can still give yourself that power and create that change. So I'm so happy that I get to share that with clients now, and I have an opportunity to share that with you. So thank you for letting me share briefly about my story and giving you a little bit of advice about how you can just manage that change for yourself. And as you see up here on the screen, like many of the other speakers, you're going to have an opportunity to connect with me and have further career conversations, because I'm going to give 5 of you a free session with me so we can continue this conversation. So I believe it's up on the screen. So what you'll need to do is just take a screenshot of this that you see up here, tag my company, which is AIM_consulting, and then share it to your story. And the first 5 of you that do that, I'll reach out and I'll schedule your session. If you don't have the opportunity, please feel free to still contact me. I'm more than happy to chat with you and help provide support. My email is on the screen. You can also DM me on Instagram. And I guess fun fact that I didn't get to share too much is AIM is actually my initials, and it's also a play on words because I help you aim for your purpose and aim with what you're going for. So just a little fun fact there.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Andrea. That was great. The chat has been blowing up. You definitely dropped a lot of knowledge and people have been loving it.
Sorry, and I talked really fast, ladies, because I know we're out of time and I wanted to get all this out and I have so much more to share with you. So please keep that conversation coming during this and afterwards.
I don't know about you guys, but like I have nothing better to do tonight than hang out with awesome ladies. So I know that obviously people probably have better things to do, but no, that was awesome. You did great. I definitely want to open up the floor to questions for all of Team She and Andrea and Peggy. So I'm going to pull everyone back in so they can answer some questions. And while I do that, we also have one last giveaway for you all. And Andrea, I don't know if you want to, are you going to reach out to people individually for the giveaways or maybe post in the chat?
I will. You'll hear from me no later than tomorrow morning. And so I'll get some information from you once you share that and we'll schedule.
Awesome. Sounds good. All right, last giveaway of the night, ladies. It's a good one, and I'm about to do something I really shouldn't be doing because they challenged me to do it. So you're definitely going to want to stay on to see this. But before we wrap up, last giveaway, like I said, while you're out there slaying your goals after today's meeting, because I know y'all are, you're going to need an awesome phone case that matches your inner girl boss. So we absolutely love Velvet Caviar's cases. They're beautiful and protective and just so cute. Look at all of those adorable phone cases. I'm in love. You can also pair them with matching grip rings, stick-on wallets, AirPod, laptop cases, all the things. So Velvet Caviar challenged me to a drop test to make sure that their cases are drop approved. So I'm getting a new iPhone next week, so we're just going to do it and see how it goes. I have a Velvet Caviar case. You can see how my screen is already cracked, so can't get much worse than that, but the front is perfectly fine. So we're going to see what happens. Stay tuned. Everyone ready? Okay. Ready, set, go. All right, no cracks. We're good to go, ladies. All good. Yeah, that was a loud flinch. So sorry about that. Gave me anxiety too, seeing all of your chats. My heart is beating so fast. So obviously it works. And as you can see, these are some of our favorite cases we chose. This is my fave, obviously, as you can see how cute that is. So if you sign up for their email, you get 10% off your first purchase, but we're also including them in the She Kit giveaways, which we have another 5 for you to be entered in. So to enter, go to the @SheFactor Instagram and submit a question for any of our speakers or Team She on our story. We'll announce all 10 after this quick Q&A sesh, and we'll be taking the Q&A questions from that. So go ahead and go submit there. And I believe we'll just start the Q&A sesh now. And I know we have a couple left on the, I'll let you guys go enter your questions on the social media. Wow, I'm fading. And while we do that, like I said, I'm gonna bring people back. Panelists, I think you might be able to unmute and start your video again too.
Yep.
Cool. So everyone just work on doing that. First question, Abigail for Andrea. What got you from being a doctor to a career coach, and how did you find your path?
Oh, how much time do we have? Great question. Thank you for that, Abigail. Long story short, it really was a journey of letting go of those shoulds, which is why I coach on that and feel so passionately about that. I don't know if my sister is on, but also fun fact, I have a twin sister who is a doctor, and I'm also first generation. So there's a lot of layers that you can read between the lines. If anybody also is in therapy, you know, it should be required. One thing I want to say, there's a lot of things on there, quick sidebar. If you're in your 20s, along with Chris's advice, explore everything, meaning give yourself permission to go to therapy, talk to people, get as many perspectives as you can. Because Abigail, to answer your question, that is what I was lacking in my 20s. And I didn't realize that until I actually had the courage to move on and let go of those frameworks and let go of the shoulds. And when I broke out of that and let myself explore and be curious and do the things I thought I wanted to do, that's how it got me to be a career coach. So I always knew I was going to help and serve others, which is why I initially wanted to go to medical school. I wanted to help others and help them through their concerns, but I realized quickly that that was not the right way for me to serve others and to help them. But I always had a passion to do that. So my career took me then into career development as a career advisor, which was my jam. So it just took me 10 years to get back to my ideal. But then weaved my way through project management and healthcare and different things. So I explored different facets of my interest through each of those experiences, which ultimately brought me back to my core values and what I wanted to do. So that's why I think you hear the theme here of really take that time and explore. And I know it can feel like wasted time, but that's why I would encourage you to really put that perspective back into how can I leverage that? How can I utilize that rather than seeing it as wasted time? There's always something to learn from that. Even if it feels like a detour, it's guiding you to where you need to be.
Love it. Great answer. Okay, Peggy, I'm going to give this one to you. I think this is a great one. What is one thing you wish you were told in your 20s about being a badass woman?
I think one of the things I would say is do not limit yourself to what you perceive as your skill set. So for example, I can barely operate the remote control on our TV. Okay, straight up. I'm in that and like the alarm clock next to my bed. I can't even, I don't know I can't even set the alarm clock. However, I've developed 2 apps, one of which already sold for over $1 million. And the second one, which is on our way to being truly the fastest growing social shopping app in the country, with over 10,000 users. So don't limit yourself to say, you know, I'd love to try this, or I'd love to do this, but I don't have enough skills in that one area. Because quite frankly, as long as you partner yourself with the right kind of people, you are capable of anything that you put your mind and your heart to. And you can find the people who know the other skill set to help you achieve it. So I would say that would be my best bit of advice I would give to my 20-year-old self.
Love it. Okay, Mom, I'm going to direct this one to you because we've gotten it a couple times. And actually it might've been answered because now it's in the answer section, but we've gotten it a few times on here is, why did you start She Factor, which you kind of already talked about. So maybe that's not a good one to do.
How did I build it? Is that the question you're talking about? Yeah, I answered it online, but you know, we really set out to build community. That's what it was all about. And at first I was asked to write a book about my experience building a woman-owned business, Camp Bow Wow. It's the country's largest pet care franchise. And when I was building it, $100 million brand, it didn't occur to me that I was a woman building the business. I was just an entrepreneur and someone who loved being creative and taking care of doggies all day. And so I was like, I don't really want to write that book. And at the same time, Tori was graduating and I was a regent at the University of Colorado and hanging out with lots of young people. So I thought, I want to write a letter to my 20-year-old self. Like, what could I have done differently? How could I have avoided so many of the bad decisions that I made or mistakes that I made? So that's the book I wrote, She Factor. And then as I started to work with Tori and her friends and help young people, they were like, well, we need an app, but we need a podcast and we need a live community. And I was like, whoa, okay, this is my thing. I always do things really big. I don't ever do things small. So we're just having such a ball figuring out how to meet your needs and meet you where you are. The first way we did it was going on a 30-city book tour and had such a blast going all around the country and visiting women all over the place, every age. And that's how we met Ellen and Andrea and Peggy. I met you virtually, but I'm sure we will meet in Chicago at some point soon. And it just filled my heart to hear so many stories and hear the struggles and see so many people kind of frozen with the potential these days and the opportunity that's out there. That sounds weird, but there's so much opportunity that it can be paralyzing. So we want to help you find your sweet spot and figure out how to navigate life and build a community around that. And that's what She Factor is all about. Sorry I rambled on, but I love what we're doing and I'm so excited about it. So I can't help myself.
And really quick note, I just have to tell this story really quickly because it's hilarious. But our very first stop with our book tour was in Chicago the day after we launched in Denver. And my mom got food poisoning from the airport in Denver. Like literally half our team got food poisoning in the airport. And we had to get hire the IV doctor on command to literally give us IVs before the event so that we'd all be fine before our first launch event in Chicago.
But
So
wait a minute, is that not a testimony to the beauty of entrepreneurship and filling a need or solving a problem? On-demand IV services to get you off of the bed into an event within a couple hours.
So
Awesome.
on that note, I want to just ask every person just for a quick like power answer to this, but what's the biggest mistake you've made and learned in your career? Ellen, do you want to start?
I can start. Do I have to hit anything? You can hear me. Okay.
You're good.
Someone kind of asked it to me in the question answer that I answered, but doubting myself and thinking that I wasn't ready for this yet. I sat in many anchor chairs when I was given the opportunity to fill in, sitting there thinking like, oh, this isn't my seat. Like I'm filling in for someone. I should not, this should not be where instead of just embracing the moment, believing in myself, putting whatever I thought was thinking in my head, just do it. And I always look back and think you were meant to be there. Like you did deserve that spot. Why did you doubt yourself so much?
Love it. Okay, Chris, how about you?
Gosh, there's so many good lessons, but I think one of the biggest ones was for me was realizing to get expertise on stuff that wasn't my expertise, right? So I think that's a huge lesson for almost all entrepreneurs is instead of just slogging through and being like, well, I mean, I can Google a lot about how to do this for marketing or do that for sales. Hire someone who's really good at that so that you can actually learn from them instead of just taking a longer route. I mean, I think that's the same thing with why people work with coaches is expediting the learning curve. So that was a big one.
Katie, you want to take this one really quick?
Biggest lesson, right?
Mm-hmm. Or mistake.
Ooh. There's been a lot. Well, okay.
For me,
Yes.
not you, Peggy.
This was actually direct.
No, not. You and I are like probably about the same. I may be a little bit older than you, but I would say embrace the mistakes because guess what? And embrace them publicly. Like I was telling myself this year, I'm like, I'm going to admit 19 times publicly on social media how many mistakes I made because when you make mistakes, you do learn and just like laugh them off and brush them off and move forward because the reality is you're going to make mistakes and you might as well just love them because you know there's something good that comes out of every kind of mistake that we make. But the other thing that I would say is if you ever get into a place that you're trying to build a business and you want to do fundraising for me came back to one thing, building relationships. So when you have investors or people that you're looking to raise money from, a lot of that goes back to how deeply you've built relationships with people. So take the time to foster relationships with the people that are close to you, the people that are near and dear to you, the people that are strategic for you. Genuinely, authentically build those relationships because you might be surprised if someone's willing to give you $500,000 to start a company.
Yeah, that's real. Mom, you got anything to say to that?
No, I so agree, Peggy. I mean, I think it came down to when we were building Camp Bow Wow, just knowing the pet owners and hanging out in the lobby and having conversations and listening to your customers, no matter who you are. If you're working for a company, you're an entrepreneur, you're running a nonprofit, listening to your customers and responding. And so few people do that today that if you do it, you beat out 90% of the competition.
Awesome. Okay, one last final question. And then we'll close out. And we, I don't know, I kind of want to have someone from Team She answer this. Dacia, are you willing to hop on and answer this question?
Oh, I'll try.
Video.
You guys, Dacia helped me build Camp Bow Wow. She was my right-hand gal the whole way along for 15 years. So she knows how to answer every question.
That's why I wanted to ask you this question. Where did it go? Hold on, I'm finding it. Well, now I lost it. Okay. If you had one extra hour a day, what would you do? And how would you influence, what's the number one way you influence other people in your life?
Well, I'm a mom of 3 and they range from the ages of 16 to 9 years old. And if I had an extra hour a day, I would definitely take that hour and just sit and talk with them and ask them questions about, especially right now. And actually I've been doing that a lot. How are you feeling? What do you think about all this? You know, what are your emotions right now? Because I know we're all over the place with this. So I would spend the time with those in your life, those that you can be around with right now, and just talk to them and get all your feelings out, whether they're good or bad, and just be in the moment. So.
I love that. I think that's a great way to close out. That's a perfect note to end on. And as we do, obviously we have some giveaways to announce. So let me pull this up. And we have a couple last things just to announce to you guys. So first of all, we're going to be having this kind of like powwow virtual event every week. We're going to have a little virtual happy hour indefinitely until things get back to normal, so we can all stay connected and social while we continue practicing social distancing. So bring your quarantini, your bottle of wine, anything you want, but we just wanted to offer our community a consistent place to connect and empower one another to stay positive and engaged. So if this is something you're interested in, go take the poll on our stories, or you can just DM us on Instagram and let us know, hey, this is something you're interested in. Also, you can chat in the notes right now and say, I want to know more about this, and we will send you an update on when our first one is going to be, hopefully next week. This was such a great start to that. You all have been awesome and so engaged. And then next, we're finally announcing that we're launching our membership in April. So this is going to give you guys full live and digital access to everything SheFactor. We've been working super hard to make sure that it's exactly what you guys want and need. We listen to your feedback, we listen to what you guys want, and it's going to all be on there for you. And it'll also get you access to all of our events. You know, we wanted it to be available to everyone and for it to be affordable and easy for you to be a part of. So there are resources that you can get completely for free still, of course, but for a very small amount of $10 a month, you can access everything to this amazing community. So if you want more information on that, or you want to be notified when our membership goes live, you can visit www.theshefactor.com/membership and go ahead and put in your contact information. We'll let you know when that goes live. And then finally, last announcement, I know y'all want to know who won the giveaway, unless Natalie already typed it in the chat, which is a possibility that I missed. But moving forward, this is going to be kind of the new SheFactor. So we're going to have a virtual squad meeting every month for everyone who can't make it to live squad meetings once we get those back up and running. I don't know about you guys, but I'm just like leaving feeling so inspired and just literally this is what it's supposed to be. It's just women empowering others, and even the chat going the whole time. And we definitely want to engage in more of that and let our community do the same. So virtual squad meetings every month. And obviously we want to launch new places too and meet you all in person once we're able to. So if that's something that you want to help us do, let us know. You can register for next month's meeting. It's going to be April 22nd now on Facebook, on our Facebook page. You can go ahead and click that link. The registration's open, and we're going to be talking finance. So all this career stuff that we talked about today is going to be in full effect for our finance talk next month. So we'll talk about how to use your money to live the best life that you want to live. So on that note, let me see if Natalie, did you put the winners on there or not? Hold on. Didn't announce them yet. She just texted me. She's going to chat everyone who won. She has all of your guys' Instagram handles for everyone who won the giveaway. So go ahead, and I'm sure she'll probably reach out to you on Instagram too. I don't have your first names. Otherwise, I'd announce you all, but I just have your Instagram handles. But they will be in the chat room right now, or soon to be, and we have 10 lucky winners. And then did anyone else want to announce winners of giveaways? Peggy, I didn't catch if you had another one or not.
No, I did say that if between tonight and tomorrow we get the next 20 downloads, I will do another drawing either for this candle, which again is amazing. It's making me so happy to have it lit all day long, or another one of the eye patches. So happy to do another drawing.
Awesome. Wonderful. Well, everyone go and follow all of our sponsors, and just obviously thank you to everyone who joined us tonight. Thank you to all of our amazing speakers. Round of applause to all of you and to our sponsors, but especially to you all, our amazing community of women. We just want to continue rolling out fun ways to engage and grow as our community, and make sure that we're connecting with everyone and empowering everyone. So until next month, Stay healthy and safe out there, and we love you all.